Welcome to our Comcast this week, the Cosmic Comcast, and we're starting this week off a little bit slow, a little bit deep, from a deeper space, guys, and we're talking about where we are personally, and I don't know. Do you have
How
anything
we're
to add?
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like we're both feeling super grounded and chill.
I would say so. I would say so. After, my personal, a little bit of a hectic move, I'm feeling a lot more grounded, a lot more earthly. And we have, guys, if you want to bring in astrology in, we have three planets currently in Taurus, which is a very, very earthy sign. And we have the North Node also there. So there's a huge influence of earthy being with our feet in the ground type of energy right now going on. And we're building up to the eclipse as well, which is coming end of this week. And we're, whenever there's an eclipse or eclipse season, as we like to call it, then the influences, can start even many months before that, but the intensity really picks up a couple of weeks before that, and now I think we're really in the thick of it. And it's a weird one right now because it's in an earthy sign. Earth is a really good, or a Taurus in particular, is a really good place to have the moon. But now we have the solar eclipse there, and with Uranus, so it spices things up a lot. So
Okay, so to clarify,
yeah,
the first eclipse is what?
the first eclipse is is a solar eclipse, if you mean that.
Okay. Yes, I mean
Hmm.
that. And also, can we define what eclipse season means?
Well, eclipse season is usually a continuation or multiple eclipses,
Okay.
in succession. So right now we have one in Taurus, and the other one should be in Sagittarius, if I remember correctly. Let me just pull that up.
This is
Um,
so funny. Like, I don't know, because I feel like we're both just like, whoa, like just so slow in slow motion, which is, I
Slowish.
think, fine. But kind of a continuation on from the energy of last podcast.
Hmm.
Very slow.
So we do have um, solar. Sorry, it's my bad. Obviously, it's in Scorpio, in the sign of Scorpio. I can't believe I messed that up.
The solar, the
The
first
lunar,
one?
the first one is in Taurus. The second
Okay,
one
and it's a
is in,
solar.
it's a solar, and the other one is in Scorpio. I can't believe I forgot about that, even because I've, been looking at these eclipses for a while. But
Mm.
let's maybe, in the sake of clarity and simplicity, let's in this week's episode, let's focus on the, from an astrological point of view, let's focus on the Taurus one because that will be more felt and more intense.
So eclipses, what do they generally bring? What's the significance of an eclipse?
I mean, they always bring big events. That's what I mean, maybe if you, personally, if there's nothing really triggered in your personal chart natally, they can be a little bit, even then the intensity is still felt, but maybe, if I say, oh, only big events, people start to wait for something crazy every time. Maybe if they don't trigger so much in your chart, it's a little bit more slower. Um, Maybe it's some event comes, it's not really such a big thing. Let's put it that way. But it's always a certain kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The intensity to some extent is still there, because the veils between the worlds are very thin, and especially
Ooh.
I would say now because of Jupiter and all the Pisces energy we have at the same time. So the veils between the other dimensions and other realities are very thin, so you can get sucked into or pulled into other places, energies, feelings, sensations. Yeah.
That's why
But
it's good to be so grounded right now.
uh,
'Cause I'm like, I can't even, it's not that I don't feel excited. Like, I certainly feel very excited to be, sitting here chatting all that. And yeah, but I just like can't drum it up to bring it outward, I guess. Like,
I mean, that's one part of the eclipse as well for me always. But this is not only for eclipse, but maybe it's more intense for an eclipse. It's still, let's say if we're talking about this new moon Taurus eclipse, every time there's a new
sorry, is
moon.
that on the 30th?
Yes, yeah. So if
Okay.
maybe you're in Canada and States, it's maybe on the first. You can say.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, end of week there. So every time, every time, every time a new moon comes in, and especially if it's just a new moon solar eclipse, something has to kind of leave as well. You need to let go, and for some of you, you might have already started letting go of it. And wherever in the chart that eclipse is happening, that's where the letting go starts. And
Well, this
yeah.
has been a topic. The letting go, the surrender, this has been a general theme for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Mhm.
has been.
Mhm.
It like to add to that, because we're having a succession of eclipses in um, Taurus and Scorpio. So, and the South Node, if you guys remember, we talked about South Node and the excreting or the letting go. It will last for a while. So, if we're talking about the next
Mm.
eclipses as well in Scorpio, the letting go needs to happen. I would say more, and especially those more painful, deeper wounds, generally traumatized places of ourselves, these need to be let go of. And
Well, and this is like something I've been contemplating so much lately, especially from this book that I'm reading. It's like, what's the time limit? Like when do you tell yourself that it's enough? Like when is your suffering? Like where's the line? It's kind of like we used to joke about like, going to the Grand Canyon or whatever. It's like you go there and it's like, well, there's the Grand Canyon. Like
so what?
now what? Like
What?
how long do we stand here and stare at it? Like, I mean, maybe the Grand Canyon's a bad idea, but or a poor example, but because I would freaking think that would be super cool. But also, it's like, when do you turn around and walk away? You travel all the way there and you go all the way there, and and you're going to see the Grand Canyon. You know, when do you walk away? So it's like emotions. The thing I've been saying lately is like in my head, I'm like, wow, you're really getting a lot of mileage out of that thought, like, because obviously you're getting something out of being the sad person, or oh, this happened to me when I was a kid, and there are so many things that can go on for a person. When do you let it go? What's the marker? When do you call it a day?
So I think it's very different for humans, especially if a person has a lot of fixed energy, like again Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio especially. It's almost it's like when I ever say a person with a lot of Scorpio, it's very hard for them to let go of anything. Or Leo, similar as well. But Leo is a little bit maybe different because it's a fire sign still. But let's say it's always, I think, a matter of how much suffering can you take and are willing to take. And if that suffering goes to, you know, big heights or a lot of suffering, again, another window to let go. But it doesn't mean that you are, it's like written in the stars to let go. You know, you can still choose suffering, and a lot of people still choose suffering. It's your choice.
Get a lot of mileage out of it.
Get a lot of mileage out of it. So I think it's a very personal thing, and it's a lot about making that decision. Like, I'm going to let go of it because it sucks so much for me.
Well, and it creates, like, I guess from a body perspective too, it creates neural pathways. Like your brain is literally wired to continue thinking along that track. So it's like when you're starting to create new tracks, you're literally rewiring your whole brain. So of course, like having patience for yourself at the same time too, because you're rewiring your brain. You're creating a whole new future and a whole new reality for yourself in letting go and choosing something new.
It definitely takes time, and I think this is what I actually want to say about this as well, because especially in the like spiritual, you know, quote unquote spiritual community, it's all about, you know, flow, and you know, talking about it has to flow all the time. You know, guys, it's not all, we're not all always a river, or you know, we don't flow all the time. So it's also a matter of really putting in the practical effort of, okay, I see myself going into this shit again. So do I want to do this, or do I want to choose anything else? So this is a very, very earthly, practical thing to do, to observe oneself and say, okay, I'm going to do something else instead. This is not anything to do with magic. It's not anything to do with, you know, energy healing in a way. It's just me using and exercising my will, you know, and I have to use it. So, yeah. Not everything is a river, guys. We don't have to flow so much.
But that's you. But that's a person expressing themselves on this planet.
What do you mean?
Well, so I mean, let's go to like the very beginning. So like we're souls essentially in a body. We have all of our different bodies. And however we're expressing is an expression of source, God, all that. So however you behave is the expression of God through you. And so I've been sitting in the back seat a little bit on these things where I'm like, I don't know, making a coffee in the morning or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you're so silly. Like all the things you can do. And this is what you're choosing right now. And I've just been seeing it as like so absurd that all the things that I've chosen in my life are the things that I've chosen. Or if I'll like catch myself in this thought of like, whatever, let's say not being good enough. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, you are so silly. Like, stop. And I think that though, like, that's been a very long process of letting go. That's not just like a one day thing. And It's like I've like dedicated my life to it. It's not just like
I think it's
yeah.
extremely important what you just said, because this is what I see a lot. You know, people want this very quick, you know, snap your fingers. Why is this taking so long? You know, type of thing. It's like, okay, so it's been like 30, 40, 50 years you've been thinking this thought, and now it's like one day, it's like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm done. You know,
We're not ruling that out that that can happen.
if you can make it
And
happen, bring
like
it.
go for it. Do it. But but make it like yeah. It's been a thing that I've been really finding in my like regular day-to-day life where people are coming to me and they're like in pain. And I'm like, and they're panicking and they want a quick fix from me. And I'm like, sir, you are 80 years old. You have had every opportunity in your, like, well, you know, let's be more realistic, 60 years to deal with posture. A quick, you know, at 20, 30 years old, a postural thing is really easy to correct. At 80, when you're in pain, like, it's not that it can't be done, but like, hello, you had a long time, you had every opportunity. It's not on me to just
I think it's a great example.
wave a magic wand and ding. Though again, not ruling that out as a possibility. And realistically, 60 years to get something done, that's a lot of freaking mileage.
And now putting in another 60, you know, in the opposite direction. But you have to make that decision.
Yeah.
I'm
I
going to do
personally
it.
feel like it happens faster the opposite direction, like once you actually put your mind to it, to whatever, to move forward into a new future.
Mostly, I would agree. I've seen it also, I guess, work in the opposite direction. You know, because it's almost like when a person doesn't make that decision. Like we've been
Yeah.
discussing, like there's so much suffering there, and a person just, no, I'm not, you know, I have a specific right now example in my mind where it was like it was very clear of what needed to be done. The person just like, you know, every time that opportunity presents itself, makes still the old type of decision. And so if you continue
Mhm.
to make that whilst already in the new and in the know, you know, you're going to just create again the old.
So how do
Yeah,
you know what the right decision is?
I know I'm very hard on right now on people, and I am. I totally am. I'm almost like I see this constantly, and I'm almost like God. I see it very clearly, only for one reason, because I've suffered so much and I've made so many wrong decisions in those
Right.
moments.
But do you think also like where you're coming from in being hard on people is not for the sake of being mean or something? It's literally from like a deeply compassionate place of like, I don't want you to suffer anymore. And if you just make this choice, it's
No,
not that
but
your suffering will end, but like you will live a way better life. But I find like people are so strongly attached to these. It's essentially an addiction to an emotion or whatever that you're getting. I'm going to say it again, that you're getting so much mileage out of. Like, oh, yeah, you get the attention that you're looking for, that you're craving, but it's a lower type of attention. It's a lower type of energy than like love, for example, like real love, the real deal. I don't even mean like between two people. I mean like of self. I
Yeah.
remember one counseling appointment I had like forever ago, long time. She was like, at the end, she was like, do you think that you could look in the mirror and say, I love you? And I just about punched her in the face. I was like, no fucking way, lady. Like, how dare you even ask that question? But like, it stuck. And I was like, well, why? Then I started questioning it, right? And over time, obviously, it's grown and gotten a way different place than I was then. Um, and at the time, with where I was, it was very hard to hear even a question about it.
Yeah. I can I can relate. I think a lot of people can relate. And I'm glad you made the choice or decision to deal with it and to look at it more closely, because the default there would be is like, fuck you, lady, and I'm not, I'm going to continue on my path, and I'm going to suppress whatever it is that you triggered out of me.
Drink a box of wine and
Box of wine. Yeah.
there was a point in my life, it wasn't bottles anymore, it was boxes.
Jesus.
Oh yeah. We used to call it a blood bag.
That is. It is a blood bag.
Oh man, so happy not to be doing that anymore. Anyways, should we?
Yeah, I just want to say, guys, I'm very hard here, and the reason I am hard with these matters is it is, there is a point where you're kind of more feminine energy of, oh, it's okay, and you're loved and you're taken care of, and that's all good as well, and that's needed in that process of letting go, and need to shift between those two. But when you're in that very thick of it, when you're in that, let's say, I'll give you an example. When you have an emotion, deep emotion, painful emotion, and instead of being with that emotion and feeling, you choose and you have in your hand an alcoholic beverage or a food or whatever it is that your drug of choice is, this is the place where you need to be a fucking really cutting that thing off, and that's a masculine type of energy, that's a male type of energy, and you need to be very firm, and you need to throw that shit out, and you need to be more hard for that specific moment, and you can be loving later on.
Yep, but in the moment you have to take the action.
You have to take the action, and action is more, let's say, associated with the masculine energies.
There's something going on with Mars, speaking of that.
That's all about Mars, and Scorpio traditionally is ruled by Mars as well, so there's a lot
Crazy.
of
I didn't
cutting.
actually know that. Actually, so lately I've been pretty obsessed with the days of the week. So I'm reading this astrology book on the mythology of each of the planets and each of the signs. And super freaking cool. Really, really am enjoying it. And the beginning part is actually talking about how denial. I feel like you love this topic. Denial of astrology in our regular lives. So denial that it's a thing, that astrology is real, essentially. It's taking me on a different thought path, but I'm like, no, dial it back. So, in the book, it was saying how each day of the week is named after a planet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can you not be like, astrology is a thing and be like, oh, it's Wednesday, which is fucking Odin's day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like the absurdity of it all has really been making me laugh a lot. As you really have to be under a rock.
For me, it's like I used to get really triggered by it. Now I just don't care because it's just so constant. You know, it's so constant. Like, oh, it's bullshit, blah 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 blah. I'm just like, wait, good for you, good for you.
Yep. Carry on.
Carry on. And it's even not even like a judgment. It's more for, you know, my personal freedom. It's easier. Just yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
You do you. I think it's actually one of the things I want to say. You do you is really one of the things that has created amazing amounts of freedom and liberation in my life in general. And not just, you know, saying it, but truly meaning it. You know, you do you. You go and live your life and do whatever it is that is necessary. It's
The
just,
absolute fullest.
just like so good. Yeah. Um, so guys, basically we're giving a lot of things here, and I'm being hard, Mercedes being a little softer with everything, but in the end, you do you. You know, you have to do you.
You, well, everyone has a different path. We're not all coming across the same things at the same time. We don't all have the same exact consciousness, but I feel like currently we all have a lot of separation from each other, which I don't think is going to be the case forever.
I hope not. I really hope not. Right now it seems to be getting worse, but maybe it's for good reason. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Mm-hmm.
Very hard to say if it's good or bad.
It is.
So
It's an expression. What is that? Is that a philosopher that was like, there's nothing that's good or bad, but thinking makes it so?
I tend to agree with this person.
Whoever it was. Yeah.
Are we going into the week?
Yeah, we probably could do that. The 24th, which is Sunday for me. Well, it's really interesting actually, because the message that came through was about you. So the words about you. So I think that's pretty interesting. And I think it points to, or I feel it points to a day of like deep self-contemplation. I think that that's been just a trend lately in general. I mean, if you're following the path, right? Like, which chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you are, because you probably won't have found us if you're not. But it's about you. And I think, or I feel it also points to, in a way, a certain selfishness, a selfishness that's not selfish. It's just unapologetic. Is that the same thing? I don't think so. There's some difference there. I feel it. Because there's...
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think there's so many people who are trying to explain themselves all the time. Over-explain, under-explain, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't matter. If someone's not going to understand you, they're just not going to. But I think a lot of it is about going inside, being selfish, being unapologetic about what your needs actually are, and the opportunity to express yourself as the beautiful, wonderful being that you are.
I think I can maybe explain the difference how I see it a little bit.
Please,
I think it
please
maybe
do.
will tie it together because I think a lot of people have the judgment of if I express my needs, then I'm already selfish. Then actually that's not the case. But if you expect everybody to accommodate constantly to your needs, and you almost what's the word I'm looking for here?
Mhm.
Expect it to be that way, and you demand it to be that way, then I would say that's selfish. But if you express them and you understand that they don't have to do it, I think that's a one way of describing a little bit of that difference of selfishness and being healthily selfish, or I can't remember the word.
I think I said unapologetic, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that that is necessarily healthy, but I think for one day, it's probably not going to be such a bad thing. If it's a trend where you're like just being a dick, then yeah, that's probably a problem.
That's probably going to cause some issues in your life, guys.
I read something the other day, or was it today? Maybe I don't know. And it was just like the most problems can be solved with long-term thinking.
Hmm.
Like they just won't occur.
If you take the time and ponder them, or
Yeah, and look far enough ahead at what might happen. I think I was having this conversation the other night about, for example, power. And like every time, every time I've contemplated power or like wanting to be powerful or whatever, like, having power over other people, let's say, every time I've been like, oh yeah, maybe that would be great. I went down the thought of it, like followed it. Okay, well then what does that mean? Like, let's go. And every time I got to wherever the end was, I was so bored, but also overwhelmed because it was like, if you're doing that, you have so much that you have to worry about to maintain that because it's not what the universe, like, it's not in flow with the universe. So, therefore, it's like you're going to constantly be having obstacles and challenges in order to keep that going. And it's like, think about all these like crazy world leaders that they at the end of their whole like takeover or whatever, they couldn't trust anyone. They had no one close to them. They like, honestly, I pity them because they're living this life where they are constantly on high alert because it's
yeah,
over. Like it's not like they, yeah, it's not like they did. Yeah. Anyways, I don't think further explain that, um, but yeah, I think just following thoughts all the way to the end and kind of going like, is that what I want, is really important.
I think it's a really good exercise, a really useful and necessary exercise, guys. The thing I'm always worried about is like people when I again a specific example comes to mind is like do I really need to do this? It's like if you want freedom, or if you want liberation, otherwise no.
If you want out of your situation.
Yep. It's like I think this is where it's a little bit crazy for me, or it's a little bit insane for me. It's like it's hard to pinpoint exactly where we got to that. You know, this is, I think, the more negative side of selfishness, and almost like being a very bratty type of selfishness, that I need to get everything that I want right now. Usually it comes from upbringing, you know, the parents just spoiling and giving everything, you know, the person needs. But I think we're really in the thick of it, where a lot of people have that pattern. I need to get everything that I want right now and immediately. It's like even that belief or that understanding in how you live your life is like, do you really need to? Who said? Who promised you this? You know? Was it like the Secret movie? Like the Secret movie probably that is a big culprit in that. Is I think I get a really bit like almost like angry because I remember reading The Secret and I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is this is how life is going to be. It's like after like a year, I was like, it's not, it's not.
Like Oprah endorsed that or something too. Like everyone was on that. Oh my God. Yeah. And then it was like, I'm gonna get that parking spot. And then when you don't, it's like, oh, the secret. Either the secret doesn't work or I'm broken. It's like, Jesus, chill.
Yeah, guys. I think there was a lot of things they left out of The Secret to
Would we
make it
call
more
that?
commercially viable.
What we call it? Misinformation.
Misinformation. Total misinformation.
Oh my God. Yep. Yep.
But,
So
okay, so to move on with daily
move on.
overviews, I actually noticed one aspect why we're a little bit maybe more slowish and more practical, and I'm a little bit more maybe mean. I don't know if it's mean or serious, because Saturn is squaring actually Mercury. And that can make you either the words can be slower and the mind can be very, very strict and, you know, even harsh, I would say. But luckily, Neptune here is sextiling with Mercury, so that should bring at least some kind of dissolvement of that. A little bit, a little bit.
Perhaps.
What about the 25th?
25th, we're looking at, and I was a little surprised by this, but Angel. Now, I remember there was this show. I don't know if you ever watched it, but it was called Touched by an Angel. Did you ever watch that show?
Touched by an Angel.
Touched by an Angel.
I need to Google it. American drama series. Touched by... So many, 9 seasons. Jesus Christ.
Yep. And it was like, I can't remember because at the time I was too young to have any type of authority over the one TV in our house. But I remember it being as a kid going like, oh my God, like this is cool. It's just like about all these miracles that go on and like all these like cool things and like just yeah, it was just about the miraculous. And obviously it was a TV show and everything, but like somewhere in me as a kid, I was like, that's the shit. That's yep, that's what I want to be doing. I don't want looking around at my family going like, who are these people? Like, those aren't my people. That is my people. It feels like a very angelic day.
Luckily, I immediately found the aspect that is coming in that is can make it so, and it is the Mercury and Jupiter sextile. We have a bit of a Earth energy from Mercury coming in from Taurus, and Jupiter coming in from Pisces, a very spiritual energy. So the Earth and the Earth, the left brain, and the higher brain, the higher realms, the spiritual areas will meet in a harmonious, a momentary harmonious sextile, pleasant sextile. It's a good way to connect, you know, to higher realms, meditate, to speak about these angelic beings.
Invite in your angels to your day to help you.
Do it.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah.
One thing we talk about too is inviting in any new angels that are meant to come in, and any of your angels that are done, that have completed the journey with you, that they can carry on to their next stage. Because I mean, we're all in an evolution, and we're all expressing. Man, this book I'm reading is freaking intense, man. Like everything I'm saying, I'm like, I just can't quite get there as far as what I mean and what the energy that I feel is. So hopefully it's just like radiating off of me and everyone's kind of getting it. It's called Love Yourself into Life. And it's another Rantha. It's a good one. He says we're amnesiacs. He's like, you're like a person, the way he describes it is like a person who has had amnesia, just completely forgot about their whole life. And before the amnesia inducing incident, that let's say they had diabetes or whatever, after the amnesia, sometimes they won't have diabetes anymore, or like some type of a disease. And this is like a thing that's known. So what is that? You know, why? What have we forgotten about ourselves?
A lot of things.
Basically, everything.
But I would say
The whole thing.
the whole spectrum. But I would say this is a good day to at least remember a slice, a smidgen of it.
So this, and that was, what did you say? Mercury and
Sextile
something.
Jupiter.
Sextile Jupiter.
I mean,
Messenger of the gods. I always want to call Jupiter the big kahuna, but
appropriate, I would say.
I don't know.
It is the bringer of, you know, the higher wisdom, the bringer of good things, the lucky kahuna, the big kahuna.
Jupiter's Thursday, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Let's say the influence, you will feel it for at least the next day as well, the 27th as well. So it's not only, you know, on the 26th.
Cool. That might be a little bit.
So more
like
time to connect to spirits.
Let's fucking go. It's like really exciting. It's like as things get crazier, I just get more and more excited because I'm like, more people are waking up, more things are changing. Like there's starting to be all kinds of stuff coming out, and like people are starting to have more conversations, and I'm just like, hell to the yeah.
Nice.
Should we move into the 26th?
I wish I could be as excited as you. I normally am. I'm just right now just like, okay, So basically, they're going to talk about it, and nothing's going to happen. It's like this is my mind right now. I'll get there. I'll get there. Obviously, things are going to change. Big time. Big time.
Well, I mean, and that's inevitable. Like, and that's like, that's why we're here. 26, weird, weird. I was thinking it was just like tin, but I don't necessarily know that it's tin itself, but more like metallic in a way.
You mean 27th? 27th?
26th.
Huh.
I think that, but the 20s, well, maybe you're picking up on it because the 27th, I was feeling acidic. So it sort of seems like the two are quite involved with each other. And okay, if I'm to be honest, the biggest thing that I felt and tuning in around the 26th and then moving into the 27th was like, you know, like blood in the mouth kind of feeling, like inflamed gums, like bleeding in your mouth kind of thing. It was really creepy when I was tuning into it. So I was like, maybe I won't say that, but now it's happening that it's coming out of my mouth. So
Very interesting. Very interesting.
So probably lots to do with speaking. You know, there's also like regretting saying things.
I think from an astrological perspective, the thing that I can tie it to is Moon in Aries. So Moon will be again in Aries, in the sign of Aries. So that's like a very, child. Aries is a very excited energy. It's a very childlike energy, and sometimes when there's, like let's say a lot of Aries energy, or at least a little bit, the child's mouth can be there. So I just blurt out whatever.
And where's Mars at for this?
Mars is in Pisces. So whenever Mars is in Pisces, the energy levels can be a little bit, lower, and the actions can be a little bit distorted or confused. It's like almost like I don't know where or what to take action on, or even if I take action on, I take this kind of like almost behind the scenes action more so, and the direction from the actions is a little bit like, ooh, it's like, so what do I even take action with?
I always wonder how people cope with anything in Pisces.
I would say it's a bit
like
placement.
Especially for people like just, I mean, I live it, so it's like not a big deal, but for everyone else, it's like I get a little compassionate chuckle out of it when everyone's like, oh, this is in Pisces. I'm like, yep. Okay. Tell me more. It's like, yeah.
I mean, Pisces energy is good for a lot of things. It's good for a lot of things.
But I mean, earthy people, fire people. I feel like air is a pretty good, like, can get it,
like a mediator.
Kind of, yeah. Aries is like, I feel like it's so in the clouds anyways.
Aries or Pisces?
No, just air signs.
Oh, air signs.
Not Aries.
Yeah, definitely.
But like air and water can be fairly like, at least on some kind of vibe together.
Yeah.
But I feel like fire and earth oftentimes have a hard time with the water,
Yeah, for sure.
which is fine. Which is fine. It's fine.
It's like Pisces denial. No, it's fine. It's fine. But
Feel bad for me because I'm a victim.
but Pisces is a
Triggered. Are you triggered?
Pisces can be a victim, total victim.
I know that's the joke. Obviously, it wasn't very funny.
But it's where do I want to go with this is, you know, it's been something on my mind for actually a very, very long time. The fact that, like you said, you know, fire has a hard time with water, maybe earth has a hard time with water, air, fire, you know, we can go on and on. But whenever you have a person has, and I've noticed this within myself, whenever you have a lot of one element, let's say for example, the judgment towards other elements is quite big and heightened because it doesn't make sense to you at all. And let's say what makes sense to a Pisces, you know, like I said right now to Mercedes, you know, the denial of Pisces, and it is, and I've seen it. The denial of Pisces is it can be there, but it's also of matter of you know, seeing the, how do I put this, seeing things on a lighter side, seeing things on a bigger perspective. And you know, we can say the same thing about fire, the hecticness of fire, the rashness, the abruptness of fire. And I can say that those things about myself as well. I don't actually get triggered. So I know that about me as a person. But the point I'm making is that the judgments towards those other signs or other people are there because we don't understand that energy. We don't understand how they operate in that space, or why and how and what do they do. But it's not a matter of judging that and saying, you know, Pisces denial or fire abruptness or Aries childlikeness. It's about understanding these energies. It's about using these energies. That's how we can work with each other better.
Well, and that's a pretty good goal to have, I feel like. And I feel like a lot of people, I feel like the majority of people spend a lot of time avoiding shame at all costs. And I think the key to moving on to like more cooperative, more understanding ways is moving through your own shame. I know it doesn't really sound like it's making sense in this exact moment, but that's what I feel to say. So I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because a lot of those things that I just mentioned, you know, the same things are used, in my opinion, to actually shame people, to shame and control people. So if I say the denial of Pisces, what's a good example also is like the nitpickiness of Virgo, for example, because Virgos can be very, very critical and very nitpicky.
I wasn't even able to hold back my reaction of the eye roll that I just did.
Because, you know, these are two opposites, for example, or we can say the controlling of Scorpio, or the shallowness of the Libra, or you know, whatever it is.
Whatever. We can always look at the negative aspect of any sign.
Any sign has a negative aspect. But the problem is, very often what I see happening, and I've noticed it in myself doing it to other signs, is the reason why we say those things, especially to other people, or one of the reasons I should specify, is to actually stop them from doing it. And that's another, way to control that person. Please don't be like this, because this is making me uncomfortable, or making me feel pain or triggered, or whatever it is. There is a sensation happening that is not desired for us, so I will use the negative side to shame and control the sign or the person, in order for them to be more to my liking.
Right. Instead of turning the eyeballs inward and going, what is it in me that's getting triggered by this person being this way? Why can't I just love them for who they are?
Exactly.
That's not to say be in a toxic or bad situation. But it is to say, stop using the outside world to pacify your inside world.
Yeah, exactly. Don't judge people because you're feeling pain.
Bingo. Ding, ding, ding.
Something like that.
What was the thing that Cindy said the other day? It was like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Because I sent her this TikTok of like, this guy who created a coffee table that had mirrors, like it created like one of those mirror portals. And I was like, I'm pretty sure this is not a good thing to have in your living room. No, thank you. And she's like, yep, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So, the prize that you win by suppressing all of this shit is staying asleep, and being very ill at 80. Those are the average ones. Should we move on to the 28th? Because it's way better. It's way better. 28th is blessed.
Blessed was the word.
Blessed. 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 Feels like an uplifting day. Feels like because again, this is kind of like where it's all of these are blending into each other. We're dividing this based on a calendar. Wow, I said that super weird. We're dividing this based on a calendar, which is set out by us. And if we didn't have this calendar, we would probably have way better lives. We'll just say that. But yeah, blessed. Good time to accept blessings. Like, just set your mind to it. You can accept your blessings all day, all week, all forever. Doesn't have to just be on this day, but it's like if everyone knew really how loved they were, I don't think we would have very many problems in the world.
I tend to agree. I tend to agree with this. And the practical left brain side of me is wanting to, again, like, I want to bring in what you said at the beginning for your experience. Remember that lady who said, can you even look in the mirror and say I love you? And if like you and I understand, if more people understood how loved they are, we probably have 99% less problems or something crazy like that. But if you say right now. Let's say if we go to a correctional facility, you know, and started saying, I don't know, murderer, child rapist, whatever. Okay, these are extreme examples, but even if you take a, executive, a corporation executive who just wants to dominate and control and, get more businesses under its control, and you go to them, it's like, you don't need to actually do this because, you're so loved. You're so loved. They're like, fuck you. fuck
Pound
your face.
sand. Fuck your face. Yep.
By any chance, this is my curious. Do you have any ideas? I know you think about a lot about these matters. Do you have any idea on how to reach these people to get them to that space? Or, just need to suffer before and then they're ready? Because that's where I'm at. More suffering, and then maybe there's an opening.
Excited. I want to say that it's consistency, consistent love. Like when you really know what love is and you just vibrate that no matter what, your energy holds the energy for, like, I don't remember what it is, but it's like each level down the chain is like 10 times the level above it. So let's say one person's coming from the heart, truly, genuinely operating from the heart. Well, they'll hold 10 times the energy for anyone who's in the solar plexus, which is going to be these, if we're talking specifically about like CEOs and stuff, that's going to be that energy. And then those people hold 10 times or whatever. I don't know the exact numbers. I'm just making that up for conversation's sake. But I mean, you just have to admit it. You just have, because this is a Virgo. I was traumatized by Virgo, but I'm gaining that trust there back. But when have you ever in your life been consistently pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and then wanted to do what that person was pushing you to do? Like, pretty much never for me. I mean, speaking for myself. But if I always knew where a safe space was, I would return to it.
I think I understand. I just thought of my example where I was pushed constantly. I still wanted to do more, which was basketball for me during my early days. But anyway, I think I understand it perfectly.
But you weren't avoiding basketball.
No. I wanted more and more.
Right.
I wanted more and more.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, we're talking about like eating broccoli.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, okay, I get it. Would you then say, let's say, I'll give you another practical earthly example. You mentioned that other person holding that 10 times the energy for that other person and then it emitting. Let's say a practical example. Let's say a person like you, a very spiritual person who is constantly dealing with these matters, gets into a relationship now with this type of CEO type person. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, never, the energies are not matching.
Don't do it.
But like, let's say that happens in some shape or form, right, or miracle, whatever. Now, that energy from you should start to, open up some doors. Let's put it that way. But in my mind, it's still, the person needs to be needs to be some sort of window, some sort of opening, some sort of
I would say that they have to want to rise up. That has to be on their path to want to, like, they have to already have gone through all of the other, like, different ray levels. When we're saying levels, it's not like one's better than the other necessarily. One's just higher. I think this is explained in the Raw books where it's like, so for example, someone operating from the first ray, the red ray, wouldn't be able to be in a relationship with someone who's in the fourth, the heart, because that's just too much of a distance. But someone who's in the orange or the sacral could lift up someone in the first. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yes, someone in their heart could potentially be with someone in the solar plexus, but they would have to want to rise up into their heart. If they don't want to, it will become very clear.
Because one will start to control the other, most likely to come back down. This is.
I mean, it could come out as control, but generally it will just be friction because you're operating at two separate energy levels trying to walk the same path, but the same path is unwalkable because they're not the same path. But then it's like, how many lifetimes you want to take to do all of that? Because eventually everyone will. But the resistance is the interesting part. But that's where the free will comes in. And that's what's beautiful. Did I answer the question? Mercury and Pisces person? What? I'm like, let me reflect. Where did we go on this journey?
Mostly, I think yes, and it was like if the desire is there, then yes. If the difference isn't too big of where the one person is and the other person is, then yes. Otherwise, most likely no.
Generally, you have to match energies. You have to be at the same frequency in order to move forward.
It's like in the back of my mind, it's like I have this example of, like, I don't know, one of these big CEOs that we have today. I don't know, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, or Elon Musk, or whoever it is. Maybe they meet a very, spiritual heart, high whatever vibe person, lady, and they get into a relationship. Would this change the way they do business entirely? If they moved up in those frequencies?
I think so. If the desire is there.
Or the CEO.
Everyone.
Or the CEO of Lockheed or Boeing, the companies that make guns and military equipment.
Totally. Well, and I think that requires a bigger shift in the whole world, right? Something big like that. But people have to be able to see outside of their own box. This is, I think, why a lot of people in slums or really poor places, like, that they remain there because they never actually see what it's like to go on an airplane, or they never actually see what it's like to rent a house on the ocean. Like, it's just not part of their world. So they don't know to look further than that. And that's why we all have to have teachers.
I have a really good movie recommendation for that. It's a very hard watch. It's a very difficult watch in my opinion, but it's called White Tiger. I think it's on Netflix. White Tiger.
Is that the one? I'm gonna Google it.
It's based in India. So
is it the one where the guy's trying to find his brother?
No.
Or something?
No. This is the one where the guy is starts from very low, and kind of illustrates the fact that how India, the lower classes of India have been, basically brainwashed and controlled by the higher classes. And then on occasion there's a person who gets it and starts to, gets out of it basically, but there's murder involved, and there's it's not an easy watch by any means.
Yeah, lots of, well, I think just that it's all about the path. What path are you walking in? How does it relate into the rest of the world? I don't know. Why did I just say I don't know?
Such a Mercury and Pisces thing to say.
What it felt like right there. It felt like I don't know if this happens to you, but like in serious situations, not that this is like high stakes by any means, but in serious situations when you're not supposed to be laughing, if I make eye contact with my sister or my stepmom, we're fucking done. Doesn't matter where we are. If it's serious and we make eye contact, it's over. We're laughing. So we had to like this is gonna sound so bad, but at my grandpa's funeral, like for whatever reason, they always get me to read shit. Like I always get stuck with like the eulogy or something. And I'm like, why me? But I'm not even the oldest grandkid. I'm just like, fuck, whatever. So I always get picked to read something. And I'm like, if you motherfuckers look at me, I will be pissed. I will not be able to keep it together. Yeah, just that thing. Yeah.
Explains it.
But I mean, funerals and death and all that stuff, that's a whole other topic of conversation. On the 29th, should we segue to what I was feeling was earthly. Feels like a very like practical sort of get your shit together admin kind of a day of being a human. Also just earth energy coming through.
I mean, I think right now what you're picking up there is the fact that Mercury is starting to move into Gemini from Taurus, and now the eclipse is literally, we're in the thick of it here. So it's
Are we going to be talking to ourselves a lot if it's in Gemini?
I mean, the thought.
That's somewhat of a joke. Somewhat of a joke.
I mean, you can say that, I guess, but the thoughts are more quicker. Definitely, they're moving faster. That communication should be again faster. It is a good sign or a good placement to have for admin tasks, but it's going to be now for a while there because we're building up for Mercury retrograde, etc. And Pluto is going retrograde.
I mean, also. Yay! What did you say?
And Pluto is going retrograde also, so.
Oh, I think I was born in a Pluto retrograde. I think my Pluto is retrograde, actually.
Can be.
Awesome.
I can't remember.
So what does that mean? Tell
Pluto
us.
retrograde?
Tell the class. Yeah.
Well, Pluto retrograde is a long.
And Mercury retrograde, because I don't think. Yeah. Sorry.
Maybe let's do the Mercury retrograde next.
Mercury
weeks.
first. Yeah.
I thought maybe Mercury retrograde in the next episode, so it will be closer because Mercury won't go.
So not on the same page there.
Not in sync.
Okay, sync back up. Let's go. Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about Pluto retrograde. Pluto retrograde.
Okay.
Definitely will, like, days leading up to it. Let's say even the
Okay.
week or 2 weeks right now where we're in, but especially the couple of days before that. So the, let's say the 27th, 26th, 28th, 29th, 30th. These are the days will some things will really come to light. Whenever Pluto starts to go retrograde, it brings the things that have been hidden, especially in your personal natal charts, where Pluto is transiting right now. So it's Capricorn. So wherever Capricorn right now is, it will bring in things to light. So for example, if it's in your fourth house and you're Libra, for example, it will bring up things to light about your emotional things, about your childhood, early childhood experience, stuff like that. So just an example. But on a larger scale, on a societal scale, sexual stuff, definitely it can bring up some, sexual taboo, problematic stuff in governments, or in powerful people, or, these things, monetary things, financial matters, bring up to light as well, definitely. All dark secrets can bring up to light.
And Scorpio senses are like nice.
It is a lot to do with Scorpio, as you know, and
Hell yeah, let's do it.
it can maybe sound
It's
scary for
exciting.
some, but it is also exciting because it will bring up those darker spaces in our society that are quite hidden, very often suppressed.
Good for it to be brought up. I think for people who have been seeing it for a long time, it feels almost like a relief because it's like, oh, great. Now I don't have to be the only one seeing this. Like it's out there for everyone to see. Therefore, now it can change.
Yeah.
Such a burden. Sometimes.
It can, because this transit is so long, it can bring up some, whenever it is transiting in your personal chart, it can bring in those deeper issues as well, deeper issues to light that you need to resolve. Kind of, it shows you those deeper underlying psychological, painful issues. Not always painful, sometimes it just brings up problems with, especially with that fourth house, plumbing. Maybe there's a problem with plumbing, stuff like that. Or maybe if you're a, Pisces, where it's in Pisces, so it's in your 11th house, problems with, or not only problems, but it's stuff. Let's put it stuff. Things to do with your friends, your social circles, your goals, your dreams, the things you're moving towards. You might discover something about your friend of yours that maybe is not the best. Or something, and this is, maybe I'm going too negative. It's also not only about, oh, not the best. It's always, when something comes to light or it comes to the surface, it's a matter of building deeper intimacy, deeper connection. So in order to, if it's resolvable or it's not, if it's such a big thing or a painful thing that you can't resolve it, obviously, can you break it off? But, it's not always only bad. Remember, guys. Just a few examples of, if we start doing the signs, every sign, we'll stay here for a long time.
Come on, rapid fire. Let's go. No, I'm just kidding. Learn to look up your own chart.
Maybe I can do.
Which brings us. Do you want to do rapid fire?
Let me think.
Like
if
2
I
words
can,
for each
2
sign?
words each sign. Oh God.
You got this. You got this. Easy.
Okay.
Easy.
Okay. Aries. The same things I mentioned with bosses and parents. Most likely the father. Taurus. Again, father is big thing. Teachers and the things that you're learning. Gemini, a lot of emotional issues, big wounds, traumatizing stuff comes to light, intimacy issues. Cancer, for Cancer, it's about the partner, the relationships, let's say the marriage partner, the relationship, things come to light there. Leo, about workmates and the work you do, health routines, things need to be restructured, come to light there. Virgo, romance, children and creative pursuits. Libra, like I said, home, family, more like the mother, but can be the extended family. Scorpios, relatives, siblings, and the way you communicate, daily activities. Sagittarius, financial matters, financial, where you invest money, stuff, self-worth, definitely. And Capricorn, overall path in life, what are you doing, where are you moving, where are you going? Rapid fire.
Did it?
Oh, Aquarius. Oh, Aquarius, sorry.
Yeah.
Aquarius.
Sorry. The poor Aquarius out there, like, hey, dude.
What about
hang
me?
on.
12th house, so it's a lot about subconscious things coming to the surface, hidden enemies, things about, hidden enemies that you might have not known. And for Pisces, like I said, about friendship, social circles, dreams and goals that you might have. You might need to shift things with projects or change.
That's cool. And this is Pluto retrograde.
This is Pluto, yeah. It's it lasts for a long time, so be prepared for a long.
So it's gonna be like more of a jet. I want to say it's like not just like a slam, like it's like a gentle over time thing where it's like these things start to really make themselves obvious.
Mostly agree, but what Pluto can do, it can really do some sort of intense event. Intenser event that brings that
Pluto
longer theme up that you need to resolve.
We love a good Pluto.
Yeah.
And then the 30th, the 30, what was coming through? Sky is the limit. Sky's the limit. I think this is a lot about contemplating where you feel like your limits are. Why are you limiting yourself to what? As I said that, like the whole thing about the secret just popped into my head.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, that's secret.
The limits and like, oh my God, this secret's not working. The sky's the limit, and it also does feel like, as well as similar to the 28th, it does feel like a very expansive day, a very like, who am I day. And I think a lot of people, I feel most people generally speaking, are really afraid of how big they can be, how amazing they can be, how wonderful they are. And how free they can be. I think a lot of people really like bumper lanes at the bowling alley. Keep me in the lane. It's like Gutterball never hurt anybody.
Maybe only a tad bit emotionally.
Just the pride.
Just a tad bit. Now the 30th.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, is this the eclipse? Hey.
This is the eclipse.
Damn.
Shall I do a rapid fire?
It feels like it's a good thing, though. Yes, I think you should do a rapid fire. I think there should be a regular thing. Ian's rapid fire. There's a guy on TikTok that does rapid fire crypto news, and who I follow. And so every time I hear rapid fire, I'm like, rapid fire crypto news. So, but this is not. This is rapid fire or the signs. Go.
Do I wanted to do
Eclipse. Solar
eclipse,
eclipse, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse.
solar eclipse.
Solar eclipse.
Uh, Maybe I need to do a little bit of a rapid fire of what it means. Rapid fire.
Yeah,
So
probably.
let's do rapid fire. What it means. So material foundations, a new beginning with money, resources worth valuables, investments. Crisis with goods. New actions, decisions made by governments and ourselves personally with how we interact with resources. Supply lines, problems there. Personally, how can I create more foundational financial material independence and freedom for myself moving forward? And at the same time, some of these can be shaken a little bit. Some questions to ask. What is important material for me? What is truly valuable for me? Where should I put my money? Emotional freedom, emotional liberation through material matters, and a push and pull between material desires and leading to let go of some old patterns relating to those material things. Cyber attacks on banks, financial institutions, problems with the electricity prices, interruptions, appreciating of natural resources, new crypto projects, government crypto projects can be revealed. Remember, this will be valid for a long time. So this is yeah. Limiting our desires, limiting the need for our material desires, thinking twice if I need to buy this luxury good or something like that. Protests, prices rising, stuff like that. Okay, let's do a rapid fire for the sides.
It's like this is like sounding so bleak.
I mean,
I was so excited.
The excitement can also come there as well, but usually the excitement can come later because the shocks can right now come, and we're in a bit of a down. We're in a downward spiral. Let's say if we wanted to talk about a little bit about the positive things, on the same day we still have Jupiter and Venus conjunction. So some of the things that I said, like it can alleviate some of the things, even the markets can receive a boost, and financially we can receive a boost as well, guys. But you need to also look at the bigger cycle where we're at. You most likely know that there's a W going on in Europe. Supply lines are messed up. The V situation hasn't really solved. There were just lockdowns in China, etc., etc. So these things are going to influence prices. They're going to influence goods. They're going to influence how we create electricity, make things. So good things can come out of crisis, yes, and emotional freedom definitely can come out of this new moon eclipse, totally. But the bigger cycles are still quite worrisome for me personally. Okay, so very quickly, rapid fire, where the new moon, solar eclipse is influencing the signs. Aries, in your financial house, money, is specifically important for you, the self-worth, financial matters, where you invest. Taurus, your general path in life, your general path in life for the Taurus will definitely change, and you want to achieve more emotional liberation and freedom in general. But an old path is ending definitely, and a new one is beginning. For Geminis, more subconscious liberation, even foreign countries, foreign lands, you might have new beginnings there, finding out things about hidden enemies. For Cancers, it's a lot about your future goals, friendships, projects. Leos, for you, it's a lot about bosses, parents, and business. Virgos, a lot about father, your belief system will get reevaluated, and you will be also big probability you will start to learn something new, like a certification or a higher knowledge type thing. Libras, joint resources coming from clients, new beginnings there, and also emotional wounds. This can be liberating later, but you might need to let go of some traumatizing thing internally. Scorpios, new beginnings in partnerships, relationships, deals. Sagittarius, new beginnings in work, and all those things that I said before. Also, foundations, etc., etc. Workmates, work, health routines. Capricorn, romantic partners, self-expression, your own business. Aquarius, home life. You might be relocating, changing homes, the scene where you live. Pisces, it's about third house. It's about online business, how you sell yourself, your siblings, new beginnings with your siblings. And I think that's it.
Rapid fire.
That was intense.
You okay? You're gonna make it?
I think it's somewhat okay.
So this eclipse marks the beginning of eclipse season. So put your seatbelt on, watch your thoughts, become enlightened, profit.
That's a small order to do.
Not in that order, always. Haven't you ever seen that South Park episode?
I think I've seen most South Park episodes. So
It's like these gnomes, and they're like, gather socks. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Profit. And there's like no middle part. Underpant gnomes. Not socks. Not socks. Yeah. Step 1, gather underpants. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, profit.
God, I love South Park. Yeah.
I love South Park too. Oh my God, the absurdity is so good. Anyways, we should probably segue into ending this episode.
This is a good segue, I think.
Because it's been rather a long one. I hope that you're still here. And if you are, so grateful for that. Thank you. And hopefully what we've said today can help you in some type of way, even if you already understand all of what we're saying. Maybe deeper understandings are on the way to you. And yeah, we're here to help. We want to bring solid information to help you in your life so you can live your best life.
Couldn't have said it any better.
Cool. All right. Cosmic Adults out.
Cosmic Adults out. Appreciate you guys, and thank you for watching and listening.